Tonight on the Friday Night Football Season Kickoff Special.
Is Cooper Rush the best quarterback in the country? John Bonamego thinks so.
Jake Rudock's playing well, yet his head is still swimming in his NFL transition. But is Matthew Stafford's head swimming more without Calvin Johnson?
Reborn in football, coming out of the womb, into the bright light, into the chaos.
What is Jim Harbaugh talking about? The expectations are high in Ann Arbor.
While in East Lansing, Gerald Holmes draws strength from his roots in Flint.
Our Path to Greatness series returns with a talented lineman from Linden named Sawyer Benz.
But the greatness starts in the offseason. Can you pass Northwood's conditioning test? I give it a shot.
And the one word that describes high school teams heading into the season, all that and more on the Friday Night Football Season Kickoff Special.
Welcome to the Friday Night Football Season Kickoff Special. Now let's join your hosts, Tom Eschen and Corey Kopic.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Friday Night Football Season Kickoff Special.
We're going to have some fun tonight. Football season has finally arrived.
It is here. We've got something new tonight. We'll put some teams under review with our challenge flag, challenging each other, too. We've got 4 downs to do it.
Time now for First Down, where we focus on high school. When asked to describe their teams, most coaches can go on and on all day about strengths and weaknesses. But what happens when you put the clamps down on their airtime? We found out this week as we headed to practice.
Hit! Hope springs eternal at the start of every football season, and coaches often have several choice words for their players as they knock off the rust from the offseason. But this year, we took their vocabularies to task and asked them to give us one word to describe their team in 2016, starting in Ithaca, where the Yellow Jackets are facing a rebuild after winning 5 of the last 6 state championships.
Young, and I think that we have a 32-man roster, and we have 21 kids that are juniors or freshmen that are on our varsity football team. So I would say we're going to be young.
At Powers Catholic, the Chargers are coming off of a loss in the state championship game, and they're transitioning to a new coach as Jerry Todd takes over for coaching legend Bob Buckle. And in a word, Todd says,
poise. You know, they're a confident bunch, not overly confident, but they know if they take care of business and do what they do, they're going to win a lot of football games.
In Vassar, head coach Jason Kiss led his team to an 8-2 season last year, but he lost quarterback Tyler Humphrey to Saginaw Valley State. Kiss says this team is all about one thing.
Family. We're looking for a group to come together and play as a family and be one unit.
New Lothrop has built a tradition of winning that few schools can match, and they too were hit hard by graduation, but they remain undaunted.
And hardworking. This group does come in every day and works hard, and all off season they put in the work. So they're definitely, I guess if I had to use 2, would be committed and hardworking.
Exciting.
Why is that?
You'll see on Friday nights.
I think we can all agree we're just ready for kickoff.
Yeah, something we've learned from being around these teams. The season doesn't start on August 8th, not by any means. We stopped by one of Valley Lutheran's workouts earlier in the month. They used former pro Stuart Schweigert in his Impact training program all summer long. You can watch that right now on WSMH.com or NBC25News.com.
And in many college and professional programs, workouts like this come in handy as their athletes are getting ready for a conditioning test to open up their preseason.
It's really a litmus test for the coaches to see who did their work over the summer. I stopped by Northwoods to get a first-hand account of the pride and pain one of these tests involves. A group of Northwood Timberwolves battle through their conditioning test. It's no easy task. 14 sprints sideline to sideline, which measures out at 106 yards. Each position group needing to complete each sprint in a certain amount of time. The fastest skill guys, 17 seconds. The linemen, 21. A minute rest in between. Nouvelle alum and Northwood senior Logan Schultz has worked hard this summer. He even clocked a 4.440 at one point. He's 6'2", 250 pounds. He passed his test today. And to give you a barometer of its difficulty, I put my cleats on. So I got to do 14 right now,
yep.
Under
17 seconds.
17 seconds with a minute rest. All right, I'm going to give it a shot.
All right,
think I can do it?
I think you can.
All right, we got to ditch the polo, though. I'm sorry, NBC 25 and Fox 66. We got to do this. All right, I'm ready when you are.
All righty. 3, 2, 1, go.
I played cornerback, a skill position in college, so I went with the skill position, 17 seconds per sprint. I started off pretty well, clearing the 17-second mark, but then it got tough. He said it gets hard on rep 8, rep 7 got me.
17-3-1.
I got mad after not beating 17 on that one, so the next couple went well, but from 10 to 14 reps, it was a battle, finishing between 17 and 18 seconds each time.
Well, that's it, buddy. Didn't pass it all the way. I'm gonna suck some air. Great job. That's why he's in college football, and I'm not. We'll talk about this later. Let's go back to you, Corey.
Not like when you were at Ithaca, is it?
No, we ran a 40 test at Ithaca, so it was a little bit shorter than that. As you can tell, I was seeing spots at the end there.
Yeah, looked like it.
Yeah, so if you want to try that, it's 14 times.
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Sideline to sideline. Time to move on now, Corey. Here. Thankfully, our first path to greatness of the season. Corey Kopic has the story.
Linden High School has developed a rich tradition of football, and this year the Eagles should challenge for some serious hardware. The big uglies up front don't usually get a lot of love, but Linden's offensive line should rank among the best in all of Michigan. Sawyer Benj has been the leader of this group for 3 seasons, and this year should be the best as he sets his sights on his future, taking his first steps on his path to greatness.
On the hop.
Over the last 3 seasons, the Linden football team has won 21 games and made the playoffs all 3 years. Winning is a tradition for the Eagles, and it's one that Sawyer Benji has taken to the next level. Head coach Dennis Hopkins speaks glowingly about his all-league offensive linemen.
When Sawyer talks, the kids listen.
Sawyer started at center for the Eagles last year, and he was nearly perfect, except that one time.
We averaged around 70-some snaps a game last year, and he had one bad snap all year, and it wasn't even in the rain. So, one just finally got away from him. So
I don't remember the game, but he always likes to mess with me about that. And the snap wasn't that bad, but he always brings that up during practices.
All kidding aside, Benji is the real deal. A 3-year starter and 2-time captain. He's a leader on this football team, but it's his 3.85 GPA that will open a lot of doors the same way his family has done for generations.
My dad, when he was a kid, my grandpa owned a gas station in Indiana, and then he grew up to be an engineer, so kind of following the family's footsteps and see what I can do there.
Sawyer's future lies in mechanical engineering, but for now, he's focused on winning as many games as he can before his high school career is over, and then he'll take the next step on his path to greatness.
We now go from one person just starting their career to one in the twilight of his for a one-on-one interview. Tom?
Thank you, Corey. Bring in now Joe Delaney for our coaches segment here in the corner. Coach, you're retiring this year. What went into that decision? 23 years at Grand Blanc. I'm sure it was a tough decision to make.
It's true. It was tough. As a matter of fact, I kind of choked up when I told my staff.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things that was just tough to get out to actually say. But it's something I'd been thinking about. You can't stay in one place forever, and I've had a good run, had good people around me. You make a decision and say, okay, that's it. Here we go.
Do you expect a tour? I think of Derek Jeter and how they got all those presents, maybe against Carmen or something like that.
That's what somebody said. That's what somebody said. They're going to have the Joe Delaney tour. I don't know. I really don't expect that, and I really don't want people to do that. It's more. I wanted to take away from things that would take away from the kids and their involvement in the football program for the fall.
Any feelings you think you'll have? You're choked up with first game, last game, things like that. Are you ready for that yet?
Yeah. It might be the last time I walk off that field might be tough.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I tell the kids, when they're seniors. I said, when you're seniors and you take those pads off for the last time and you walk off and you think, I'm not going to do this again.
Right.
And, after 37 years of coaching high school football, to say I'm not going to do it again, and it could be tough, but it'll work. Yeah. It'll work itself out.
You finally reached your senior year.
There you go.
There you go. Thanks so much for joining us, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Corey.
Thank you, Tom. Michigan State running back Gerald Holmes opens up about his Roots Plus.
Coach Harbaugh does a great job of kind of putting all the pressure on him and all the attention on him.
Is Jim Harbaugh a good or a bad distraction? We discuss as the Friday Night Football season kickoff special rolls on.
This Friday Night Football season kickoff special is presented by Security Credit Union. Dedicated, secure, trusted. Stay right here for more Friday Night Football. Welcome back to this Friday Night Football season kickoff special. Now let's join your hosts, Tom Eschen and Corey Kopic.
Welcome back, everybody. Time to talk Michigan State. Corey wants to get a word in here. He'll get it in a second. The college football playoff finalists return 3 talented running backs, Madre London, LJ Scott, and Carman Ainsworth graduate Gerald Holmes.
Holmes had some big games last year, more than 100 yards against Nebraska, and he outran Ezekiel Elliott in the horseshoe when they played Ohio State.
He sure did. I was able to sit down with him and ask him where he gets that toughness from. You can imagine it was right here in Flint, as our second down takes us to East Lansing.
And we talk about football. A lot of people don't ask you, though, about life, too. Yeah. You know, how does that help you just adjust the college life, you know, and kind of be a better person growing up there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the obstacles, man. You know, I mean, in college, you know, you have from the freshman year, you know, your first time really being alone. You know, that's a big transition, you know what I'm saying, for 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds who go to college, you know. So I feel like, you know, it's been in Flint, you know, and having to go through certain things in my life, you know, also just like losing my mom, you know, that kind of was a big lesson, you know, kind of in a big pill to swallow, but kind of matured me in ways, you know, not having that aspect and that motherly love in my life throughout the time, you know. So I try to transfer it into football, you know, and I'm playing out through that.
Yeah, what advice would you give to a kid there these days, at least? You know, maybe some of your experiences. One last thing.
Man, whatever you want to do as far as positivity, man, if it's playing sports, if it's playing the drums, if it's been a pianist, if it's been a math person, you know, a scientist or whatever, you know, just stick to that. You know, I feel like, you know, a lot of people, you know, we have these things that we want to do, but, you know, we so caught up on what everybody else doing, we feel like we kind of ashamed to be who we really are. So, really, man, just grind, you know, and become the best person you can.
You want to be a football player, I'm assuming, right? You were the kid that wanted to be a football player?
Yeah, I started playing football to my 4th grade. I mean, so I want to be just a guy I'm a creative guy, and I feel like being tailback, that's a creative position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've been creative so far. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
It's time for a challenge now. While we're in East Lansing, they're saying that this defense will be fine, maybe even better than last year. But, Tom, your challenge to me is to convince me that the Spartans will make it back to the playoffs.
Well, I've spoken with the quarterback, Tyler O'Connor, a little bit. He's a 5th-year senior. You know, Michigan State in the past, they've had Connor Cook, who's been there for a couple years. Right. Kirk Cousins been there a couple years. O'Connor, 5th-year senior. That's pretty rare for them, but from talking to him, and he's been around the program, he's confident, not cocky. Maybe a little different from Connor Cook. I think he's going to gain the trust of those guys in the locker room.
Offense and defense, they're missing 12 starters. I'm going to take the opposite into this argument.
Really?
Mark D'Antonio has reloaded before, but when you're playing in a division with Michigan and Ohio State, I just don't see it for the Spartans this year.
Oh, all right, Corey. We'll see what happens. We'll remember this moment later
on
in the year. Moving on now, let's talk about the other guy on the other side there, Ann Arbor's Jim Harbaugh. Now, he was very excited for this season. Let's hear what he had to say.
It's like being reborn in football, coming out of the womb into the bright light, into the chaos, into everybody looking at you, and it's where the team's forged. It's under the sun in the August heat, sun shaping the body and carving the mind. Very excited about it.
And with that said, it is time for a challenge. Now, Chris Wormley, the defensive lineman, said Harbaugh distracts everyone from the team focusing on him. Is it a distraction for the players, though, all this headlines, everything going on, Corey?
No, it's not. It's good for the players because all of the focus is on Jim Harbaugh. When you ask anybody about Michigan football, the first words out of their mouth are Jim Harbaugh. They rarely talk about the team, that is until the season starts anyway.
Yeah, I know that they're expected. The team itself is supposed to be pretty good this year. I just feel like in the locker room, you go in there, guys be like, you see what Harbaugh said on Twitter today? You know, I don't know. I don't know, Corey. I think that maybe it might be have an impact on the players. We'll see if it's a good or a bad thing, trying to live up to those expectations he's already given them.
You were a player, you would know.
Oh, thank you, Corey. I appreciate it. You saw some of that already today in my conditioning test. Well, let's move on now. We haven't gotten a first down just yet, so it's third down next. We talk Lions. Why is it challenging for Jake Rudock to transition and Matt Stafford to transition? This Friday Night Football season kickoff special continues. Welcome back to the Friday Night Football season kickoff special. We make the transition now to the professional ranks, where the Detroit Lions will try to improve upon a 7-9 2015 season.
It's General Manager Bob Quinn's first year driving the bus after spending the last 2 decades in New England, and there's no more Patriots thing a general manager can do than to draft a Michigan quarterback in round 6, and that brings us to Jake Rudock. Rudock In 1 year in Ann Arbor, turned in the second best statistical passing season in school history, which led him to being drafted by the Lions in May. He's played well in the preseason, and he admits that while he enjoys the process, it does have his head swimming a little bit.
You're not supposed to swim in all the time. What are you talking about? No, I mean, yeah, no, we'll throw new stuff in, stuff maybe I haven't seen. Yeah, it's just important just to keep, stay focused, keep working hard, because there's a lot of things that come at you. But with that said, our coaches do a great job of helping me out. And also Dan and Matt, they do a great job of just continually being able to mentor me and teach me.
It's time for a challenge for you. Now, Matt Stafford lost his number one target, Calvin Johnson, over the offseason. Convince me that this offense is going to be okay without him.
I think Jim Bob Cooter and Matthew Stafford work well together. They did in the second half of last season, and they've been quickening things up. They've been playing with a faster pace. We've seen that in the preseason so far. I think with a guy like Theo Riddick and Marvin Jones, Stafford's going to be able to pick apart defenses a little better instead of just kind of slinging it up there waiting for Calvin. So I think he might be a little more efficient in the process. I think that can happen.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I'm going to go the other way because he doesn't have Calvin to sling it up to anymore. Now he has to elevate the play of the players around him, and he's shown us time and time again that he's not that guy.
We'll see what happens.
We will see what happens.
I think he's better than you think, everybody. Well, speaking of quarterbacks, CMU head coach John Bonamego loves his quarterback. Our quarterback conversation continues with Cooper Rush. Will he be the best? We talk about just that as Friday Night Football season kickoff special rolls on. Welcome back, everybody, to the Friday Night Football season kickoff special. The Central Michigan Chippewas are entering Coach John Bonamago's second season.
They won a share of the MAC West last year, and return quarterback Cooper Rush, who Bonamago says isn't just one of the best in the MAC, but the best in the country.
But a quarterback is more than that. Coach Bono says an interesting thing here about leadership in our fourth down.
When you ask people how they lead, the number one thing that they always say is by example, and that's part of leadership, but it's only one part of it. You can't be an effective leader unless you're doing the right things, but you also have to be able to speak up and communicate. You have to be able to define your standards, and you have to be able to hold people accountable for their standards.
I think it helps everyone out. I always try to be a calming influence in there. Guys look at you and they don't panic. That's a trait a quarterback needs. So playing a lot's helped with that, and we got a bunch of guys, a veteran group that kind of knows what's going on out there, which help us execute.
Time for another challenge now, Corey. Kind of thinking about his leadership too in the background here. Cooper Rush, the best quarterback in the nation, John Bonamago says. How can that happen?
Well, he's 6'2", 220 pounds. He's got a really good arm, and he has a much better understanding of this offense this year in year two of the offense. Yeah. Good receivers, inexperienced, but very talented, and a solid running game.
I don't know if he can be the best in the nation. A guy like Deshaun Watson.
Right.
I feel like the competition in the bigger conference is a little bit tougher to live up to, but passing yards wise, statistics wise, I think that is true.
Sure.
So
playing in the MAC helps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I think that's going to be a big boost for them. It's been a blessing for Coach Bono to have him in his first couple of years here.
Exactly. And Bonamago's done a great job.
Yeah, we'll see how they can do in that MAC with Western. Is obviously the favorite there. Moving on. Closer to home, SVSU football schedule there. As you can see, they're also looking to start their season. They start things up here in the next couple of weeks. Good home opener there against Northwood. More night games this year for the Cardinals. That's a 7 o'clock start. The final home game against Grand Valley State on November 12th. We wrap things up after the break.
Welcome back to this Friday Night Football season kickoff special. Now let's join your hosts, Tom Eschen and Corey Kopic.
Welcome back, everybody. We got a little time left, so you get a glimpse of our preseason power rankings. We'll be doing these each week on our shows throughout the year. I will go first. Top 4 divisions, big schools. Dow will be tough to beat this year. I got them at the top. Up here, we'll get that game with Clarkston early on. I got a good vibe from Graham Blank, too, especially from talking to Coach. And in the smaller schools, you can't not pick Ithaca. But New Lothrop making their best better, as they told me earlier this week.
And I'm going to go next. We'll start with the big schools, where Lapeer has been dominant since combining East and West 2 years ago. Bruce Man and Midland Dow should be excellent this year, followed by Linden, Fenton, and Mount Pleasant for me. On to the small schools. Again, hard to bet against Ithaca or New Lothrop, but both have a lot of holes to fill this year. Freeland, Lutheran Seminary, and Frankenmuth round out my top 5.
Yeah, so that's our show tonight. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
You can watch all this and see more football previews for high school to the pros on our website.
And tune in every Friday night for all the best plays and scores on Friday Night Football season kickoff special. For Corey Kopic and the rest of the Friday Night crew, I'm Tom Eschen.